The Grand Council of the United Stellar Nations buzzed with nervous energy as representatives from over 1,000 civilizations gathered in the massive crystalline chamber. The room's usual productive hum had been replaced by whispers of confusion and fear. At the center of the chamber, a holographic message pulsed with an eerie blue light, displaying the same text in every known galactic language. To all spacefaring civilizations, Earth and Sol system are now under quantum lockdown. Any attempted military incursion will result in immediate categorical erasure. This is not a threat. This is a courtesy. First speaker Vexthor, their silvery scales reflecting the hologram's light, raised all four hands for silence. The veteran diplomat had never seen such a simple message cause such chaos among the council. Order, they commanded, their translator converting their subsonic frequencies into standard galactic common. We must approach this with rationality. Earth has been a known quantity for centuries, a level 2 civilization barely capable of reaching their own moon. That was 300 years ago, interrupted Delegate Zira of the Centaurian Alliance. The avian diplomat's feathers were ruffled in agitation. We haven't had direct contact with Earth in over 2 centuries. Our probe networks have been systematically failing near Sol system for decades. We assumed it was equipment malfunction, because humans are primitives, bellowed War Chief Kavax of the Kraxan Empire. The massive reptiloid slammed his ceremonial war staff against the floor. They barely mastered atomic fission when we last observed them. This message is clearly a bluff, some desperate attempt to appear stronger than they are. The chamber erupted in overlapping arguments. Some delegates insisted on immediate military action to assess the threat. Others called for caution, pointing out humanity's notorious reputation for technological leaps and unconventional problem-solving. In the upper observation ring, 2 figures watched the chaos unfold. Ambassador Lyra of the Ethereal Collective turned to her companion, her crystalline form refracting the chamber's light. "What do you make of this, old friend?" Research Director Nexus adjusted his sensory arrays, his synthetic body humming quietly as he processed the data. "The message itself is fascinating, Lyra. It's not encoded in standard transmission protocols. It simply appeared simultaneously in every major communication system in the galaxy. The energy required for such a feat would be impossible," Lyra offered. "I was going to say beyond our current understanding of physics. But yes, essentially impossible." Nexus's optical sensors focused on the hologram. More interesting is the specific language used. Not military action or invasion, but military incursion. Not destruction, but categorical erasure. They're being precisely vague. Below, War Chief Kavax was working the chamber into a frenzy. "The Kraxan Empire will not be threatened by monkey descendants. I have already dispatched our 7th battle fleet to Sol. We will expose this pathetic bluff and remind humanity of their proper place." First speaker Vexthor's scales paled. "You did what?" "Without council authorization. The Kraxan Empire needs no authorization to defend galactic order. Our fleet carries enough firepower to reduce Earth to atoms. Let's see their quantum lockdown handle 500 warships." In the observation ring, Nexus's sensors recorded an anomalous energy spike emanating from the hologram. The message flickered, then changed. 7th Battle Fleet approaching Sol system detected. Category: military incursion. Warning acknowledge. Countdown to erasure. 30 galactic standard minutes. The chamber fell silent. "They're bluffing," Kavax said, but his voice carried less certainty. "Nothing could threaten our most advanced fleet." Lyra's crystalline form vibrated with concern. "Director, what are the chances this is actually a bluff?" Nexus processed for several seconds. Given humanity's historical pattern of technological advancement, their centuries of isolation, and the physics-defying nature of this communication, he paused. "I estimate a 97.3% probability that they are not bluffing, and a 99.9% probability that we are about to witness something unprecedented." The next 29 minutes were the longest in Council history. War Chief Kovacs attempted to contact his fleet repeatedly, but all communications remained normal. The fleet reported no unusual readings as they approached Sol's system. At the 29-minute mark, Kovacs stood triumphant. You see, nothing. Their quantum lockdown is as fictional as their strength. In one more minute, Earth will learn the price of attempting to deceive the galaxy. The hologram pulsed once, then displayed new text. Categorical erasure complete. Your fleet has been redistributed to their base quantum states. The atoms comprising their ships and crews have been returned to stellar matter, as they were before. We recommend against further military incursions. The process is unpleasant for all involved. The message vanished. In the stunned silence that followed, every attempt to contact the 7th Battle Fleet failed. Long-range scanners showed no trace of 500 warships or their 40,000 crew members. It was as if they had never existed. First Speaker Vexthor turned all four eyes to War Chief Kovacs, who stood frozen in shock. Perhaps, Vexthor said quietly, we should reconsider our assessment of Earth's current technological level. In the observation ring, Lyra's crystalline form dimmed with horror. Director, what exactly do you think we're dealing with? Nexus's processors hummed as they calculated possibilities. Based on this demonstration, Earth appears to have achieved control over fundamental forces we barely understand. They can manipulate matter at the quantum level across vast distances, and most worryingly, he paused to confirm his analysis. They seem to be saying they did this out of courtesy. Courtesy? Yes, they could have erased the fleet without warning. Instead, they gave us a demonstration and a clear message. Leave us alone. The question is, why now? Lyra finished. After centuries of silence, why reveal such power? Precisely. And a more troubling question. What could make a civilization with this level of technology feel the need to warn others away? The council chamber had descended into chaos again, but now it was the panic of realizing humanity wasn't warning the galaxy away from Earth. They were warning the galaxy away for its own safety. The disappearance of the Kraxan Empire's 7th Battle Fleet sent shockwaves through galactic civilization. Within days, a dozen major powers had withdrawn their forces from the edges of Sol's system, establishing a safety sphere of several light years around Earth's territory. But not everyone retreated. High Admiral Senna of the Arcturus Dominion stood on the bridge of the Stellar Forge, the most advanced warship ever constructed by any civilization. Her silver-plated exoskeleton gleamed under the bridge's ambient lighting as she studied tactical displays showing her fleet's formation. Status report, she commanded. Fleet Commander Vix's mechanical legs clicked against the deck as he approached. All 1,000 ships are in position, Admiral. Our quantum shields are operating at maximum capacity, and we've modified our drive signatures to be undetectable by known human scanning methods. Senna's compound eyes focused on the tactical display showing Earth, a seemingly insignificant blue world. The Kraxan Empire failed because they were primitive and predictable. We are neither. Begin the approach. The Arcturian fleet moved with perfect precision, their advanced stealth systems making them virtually invisible to conventional detection methods. Unlike the Kraxan's brute force approach, this would be a surgical strike. Their ships carried weapons that could selectively target military installations while leaving civilian areas untouched, a demonstration of both power and mercy. In the Grand Council chamber, the emergency session continued. Research Director Nexus presented his findings to the assembled representatives. The energy signature we detected during the Kraxan fleet's erasure suggests manipulation of quantum fields on a scale we previously thought impossible. His synthetic voice echoed through the chamber. It's as if someone rewrote the fundamental properties of matter itself. Ambassador Lyra's crystalline form pulsed with concern. Could this technology be replicated? Theoretically, yes. Practically, Nexus paused. We don't even understand the basic principles involved. It would be like asking Stone Age beings to replicate quantum computing. A new voice cut through the chamber. Then we must secure this technology before humans can use it against us. All eyes turned to High Chancellor Ven of the Arcturus Dominion, his holographic form shimming with barely contained excitement. Our fleet is already en route to Sol's system. This time, we will succeed where the Kraxans failed. First Speaker Vexthor's scales shifted to alarm patterns. You risk another 40,000 lives. We risk nothing, Ven declared. Our ships are undetectable, our weapons precise. We will demonstrate true civilization to these humans. A holographic message that had started everything suddenly reappeared in the chamber center, but this time it showed something different. A real-time image of the Arcturian fleet. Interesting approach, the text read. Unfortunately, stealth technology based on quantum field manipulation is rather obvious to those who control quantum fields. Would you like to withdraw your fleet, or should we begin the demonstration? High Admiral Senna received the same message on her bridge. Her exoskeleton bristled with rage. Impossible. Our stealth systems are perfect. Admiral, Fleet Commander Vix's voice carried an unfamiliar emotion. Fear. We're detecting something. The space around our ships is changing. The void around the Arcturian fleet began to ripple like disturbed water. Stars seemed to blur and shift position. On the Stellar Forge's bridge, instruments reported impossible readings. All ships, open fire. Senna commanded. Full spectrum assault. 1,000 ships unleashed their weapons simultaneously. Planet-cracking energy beams, quantum torpedoes, and reality-warping bombs all streaked toward Earth. For a moment, the space between the fleet and their target became a corridor of pure destruction. Then everything stopped. The weapons fire hung frozen in space, suspended in perfect stasis. A new message appeared on every screen in the fleet. An admirable attempt. Your weapons technology is quite advanced. Unfortunately, you're still thinking in terms of conventional physics. Allow us to demonstrate post-quantum warfare. The frozen energy weapons began to curve and twist, forming an intricate pattern in space, a massive, glowing double helix. Then, with a flash of light that temporarily blinded every sensor, the entire pattern collapsed into a single point and vanished. Your weapons have been converted to abstract mathematical concepts, the message continued. They now exist as pure theory rather than physical objects. Don't worry, we can restore them if you'd like, but we thought this would be more educational. Before Admiral Senna could respond, her fleet began to change. Ships started to become transparent, their hulls taking on a crystalline quality. As for your vessels, the message went on, we're temporarily shifting them into a parallel probability state where they were designed as art installations rather than warships. The process is harmless, but should prove enlightening. Within moments, the most powerful fleet ever assembled had been transformed into a massive gallery of abstract sculptures, still crewed by increasingly confused Arcturians. A final message appeared. Your crew members are safe and will remain so. Your ships will return to their normal configuration once they exit the Sol system. We recommend using this time to contemplate the differences between advancement and wisdom. In the Grand Council chamber, the assembled representatives watched in stunned silence as the real-time hologram showed 1,000 warships, now transformed into the galaxy's largest art exhibition, slowly backing away from Earth. Research Director Nexus turned to Ambassador Lyra. It seems, he said quietly, that we have been asking the wrong questions. The issue isn't what humans can do with quantum physics. Then what is the issue? Lyra asked. What made them decide that quantum physics was too limiting, and what did they discover beyond it? The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity hadn't just advanced beyond their expectations. They had advanced beyond their comprehension. Deep within the archives of the Ethereal Collective, Ambassador Lyra and Research Director Nexus hunted for answers. The vast crystalline database contained records spanning millions of years, yet finding information about humanity's past proved surprisingly difficult. Another dead end. Lyra's form flickered with frustration as she interfaced with a data crystal. It's as if someone systematically removed certain historical records. Nexus's synthetic body hummed as he processed ancient star charts. Not removed. Hidden. Look at this pattern. He projected a hologram showing the distribution of advanced civilizations across the galaxy. Notice anything unusual? Lyra studied the projection. There's a void around Sol system. No major civilizations developed within 1,000 light-years of Earth until relatively recently. Precisely. Natural development patterns show no such exclusion zones. Something or someone deliberately kept that region isolated. Their research was interrupted by an alert from the Grand Council. The holographic message was brief but urgent. A third fleet had vanished. The Swarm Collective, believing their organic technology would be immune to quantum manipulation, had launched a stealth probe toward Earth. Their bioships had simply ceased to exist. But this time, Earth's response was different. Instead of another warning, they received an invitation. Your persistence demonstrates genuine curiosity. Perhaps it's time for a conversation. Send your scholars, not your soldiers. The Temple of Infinite Light awaits. Accompanying the message were coordinates to a location that shouldn't exist, a massive structure floating in deep space, exactly halfway between Earth and the Grand Council's headquarters. Ancient records showed nothing at that location, yet long-range scans now revealed a station larger than most moons, its architecture defying conventional physics. Within hours, a delegation was assembled. Ambassador Lyra, Research Director Nexus, and representatives from the major powers boarded the fastest diplomatic vessel available. As they approached the coordinates, the Temple of Infinite Light revealed itself. The structure seemed to fold out of nothing, its surfaces simultaneously solid and transparent, its geometry following rules that hurt to contemplate. It was as if someone had built a cathedral out of pure mathematics. By the eternal void, whispered First Speaker Vexthor as their ship docked with the impossible station. What are we dealing with? They were greeted by a single human representative. Dr. Sarah Chen, whose simple white uniform bore no rank or insignia. Her smile was warm, but her eyes held depths that suggested she was far older than she appeared. "Welcome to the temple," she said, leading them through corridors that seemed to extend infinitely in all directions, while somehow remaining navigable. "We apologize for the dramatic demonstrations, but they were necessary to prevent unnecessary loss of life." "You could have simply told us of your advancement," War Chief Kovacs growled, his replacement already showing the same aggression as his predecessor. "Would you have believed us?" Dr. Chen asked. "More importantly, would you have understood? Even now, you're thinking in terms of technological advancement. What Earth has experienced is something else entirely." They entered a vast chamber whose walls displayed the entire history of the galaxy in real time, every moment of past, present, and possible futures flowing like rivers of light. "Humanity didn't develop this technology," Dr. Chen continued. "We evolved into it, or perhaps more accurately, we remembered it." She gestured to a section of the temporal display showing Earth's ancient past. "Long ago, there was a civilization you now call the Architects. They didn't build technology. They wrote the laws of physics themselves. But they saw something coming, something that would change everything. So they seeded various species throughout the galaxy with portions of their knowledge, encoded into their very DNA. Humanity carried the complete code," Nexus concluded, his processors racing. "The isolation zone around Earth was to protect us until the sequence fully activated," Dr. Chen confirmed. "The Architects knew that eventually, the universe itself would need to evolve. They created humanity as a bridge between what is and what could be." "But why now?" Lyra asked. "Why reveal yourselves after centuries of silence?" Dr. Chen's expression grew serious. "Because what the Architects foresaw is finally approaching. The fundamental constants of the universe are shifting. In roughly 1,000 years, the physics you understand will begin to break down. The galaxy needs to be ready. The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity hadn't developed impossible technology. They had evolved beyond the need for technology altogether, and they had revealed themselves not to display power, but because soon, every species would need to follow a similar path. We didn't send those warnings to protect Earth from you, Dr. Chen said softly. We sent them to protect you from attempting something that your current form of existence simply cannot handle. The Temple of Infinite Light isn't just a station. It's a school, and class is about to begin. The temporal display shifted, showing countless possible futures. In some, civilization collapsed as physics itself changed. In others, species evolved together, transcending their original forms to embrace a new way of being. The choice, Dr. Chen concluded, is yours. But we hope you'll let us help. After all, reality is about to get much more interesting. Around them, the temple hummed with possibilities, and the delegates began to understand that they stood at the dawn of something far greater than mere technological advancement. They were witnessing the next step in universal evolution, with humanity as their unexpected guides. The Grand Council chamber had never been so quiet. The delegates who had visited the Temple of Infinite Light had returned changed, not physically, but their understanding of reality itself had been fundamentally altered. As they shared their experience, the galaxy's civilizations faced an unprecedented choice. First Speaker Vexthor addressed the assembled representatives, their scales now shimmering with patterns never before seen in their species. The humans have offered to guide us through this evolution, but they cannot force it. Each civilization must choose its own path. The chamber erupted into debate. Some species saw the coming changes as an opportunity for transcendence. Others viewed it as an extinction-level threat. Many simply refused to believe. High Chancellor Ven of the Arcturus Dominion rose to speak, his holographic form somehow more substantial than before. My fleet's transformation was not just a demonstration of power. It was a lesson. Reality is more flexible than we imagined. Our ships didn't just become art. They experienced an alternate history where they had always been art. Both states were equally real. Research Director Nexus interfaced directly with the chamber systems, projecting his analysis. The data is undeniable. The fundamental constants are already showing microscopic variations. In approximately 1,000 years, the physics we rely on will become increasingly unstable. Then we must preserve what we have, shouted a representative of the machine consensus. We can build shelters, develop protective technology. You still don't understand, Ambassador Lyra interrupted, her crystalline form pulsing with new frequencies. You cannot preserve the old physics with technology based on those same physics. It would be like trying to prevent water from freezing by making ice. Dr. Chen materialized in the chamber, not as a hologram, but as a quantum projection that existed simultaneously in the council and the temple. Your concern is natural, she said, her voice carrying undertones that resonated with each species differently. But consider this. Your civilizations have already evolved countless times. From single cells to complex organisms, from primitive tools to quantum technology. This is simply the next step. She gestured, and the chamber transformed. The representatives found themselves experiencing multiple realities simultaneously, versions of their species that had made different choices throughout history. It was overwhelming but somehow comprehensible, as if their minds were already beginning to adapt to new ways of perceiving. The architects didn't just seed us with knowledge, Dr. Chen continued. They seeded us with potential. Humanity didn't advance faster. We just remembered sooner. Now we offer to help you remember too. War Chief Kavax, who had been unusually quiet, suddenly stood. My predecessor sent a fleet to die because he feared human power. I nearly made the same mistake. But now I understand. This isn't about power at all, is it? No, Dr. Chen smiled. It's about growth, evolution, becoming something more than we are while remaining exactly who we are. The representatives watched as she demonstrated, her form shifting through multiple states of existence simultaneously: human, energy, pure thought, and things they had no words to describe, all while remaining recognizably herself. The Temple of Infinite Light is ready to receive students from any civilization that chooses to begin this journey, she explained. We've established similar temples throughout the galaxy, each adapted to different species' needs. The process cannot be rushed, but it can be guided. Ambassador Lyra moved to the center of the chamber, her crystalline form now refracting possibilities rather than just light. I propose a resolution. Let us establish a new council, not of nations or species, but of evolution itself. Let us learn from humanity not how to wield power, but how to grow beyond our current limitations. The vote was not unanimous, but it was decisive. Most civilizations chose to begin the journey, though some preferred to wait and observe. A few declared they would seek their own path. All were accepted, for as Dr. Chen explained, forcing evolution defeated its purpose. As the chamber returned to its normal state, Research Director Nexus approached Dr. Chen. There's still one question you haven't answered. What exactly did the architects see coming? What could be so significant that they would seed an entire galaxy with the potential for such transformation? Dr. Chen's expression became both serious and excited. They saw that reality itself is evolving. The physics we know isn't breaking down, it's growing up, and we need to grow with it. She paused, looking out at the assembled representatives. But that's just the beginning. Would you like to see what comes next? The chamber filled with anticipation as they realized that everything they had learned so far was merely preparation for something even more extraordinary. The true revelations were yet to come. In the Temple of Infinite Light, thousands of beings from across the galaxy gathered for what humans called the revelation. A year had passed since the first contact, and those species that chose to begin their evolution had already experienced profound changes. The temple's great hall shifted and flowed around them, its architecture responding to the collective consciousness of its occupants. Dr. Chen stood at the center, but she was no longer alone. The human delegation now included others who had completed their evolution centuries ago. Among them was Admiral Marcus John, whose consciousness existed simultaneously across multiple dimensions, and Dr. Aisha Patel, who could perceive the quantum threads binding reality together. You've all felt the changes, Dr. Chen began, her voice reaching everyone in their native form of communication. Your civilizations have begun to transcend their original limitations, but today you'll understand why. The hall transformed into a vast model of the universe, not just the physical universe they knew, but layers upon layers of reality stacked like pages in an infinite book. The architects discovered something profound. Admiral John continued, his form flickering between states of existence. Our universe isn't the first, nor will it be the last. Reality itself is alive, and like all living things, it evolves. Dr. Patel gestured, and the assembled beings witnessed the birth and death of countless universes, each with its own laws of physics, its own forms of life, its own destiny. But this universe is different, she explained. It's reaching a critical point. Consciousness itself is becoming fundamental to reality. The truth began to dawn on the assembled representatives. Research Director Nexus's synthetic mind expanded to embrace the concept. We're not just evolving to survive changing physics. We're evolving to become part of the new foundation of reality itself. Ambassador Lyra completed the thought, her crystalline form resonating with understanding. Dr. Chen nodded. The architects weren't just an advanced civilization. They were the universe's first attempt to understand itself. They seeded us throughout the galaxy because they knew that the next universe would need more than just physical laws. It would need conscious beings who understood both mathematics and meaning, both energy and emotion. The hall shifted again, showing the future, not as a fixed path, but as an infinite array of possibilities. Those species that had begun their evolution could see it clearly now. Reality itself was becoming aware, and they were part of its awakening consciousness. This is why we had to warn you away from Earth, Admiral Jung explained. Any species that tried to interfere before understanding the truth would have shattered their own potential. You needed to choose this evolution freely, with full understanding of its meaning. First speaker Vexthor, their scales now patterns of pure probability, asked the question that echoed through many minds. What happens when this universe completes its evolution? Dr. Paddle smiled. Something wonderful. We don't just transcend physical form. We become part of the fundamental forces shaping the next universe. Our experiences, our cultures, our understanding of both science and art. All of it becomes part of reality's own DNA. The assembled beings witnessed a simulation of this process, the current universe reaching its peak of consciousness, then seeding the birth of the next. They saw how their evolved forms would help shape new physical laws, new dimensions, new possibilities for existence itself. This is humanity's true role, Dr. Chen concluded. Not to rule or guide, but to remember first, to help others remember, and to ensure that when reality takes its next great leap, it carries with it the wisdom and wonder of all conscious beings. The temple hummed with the weight of this revelation. Every being present understood that they were part of something far greater than mere civilization or species. They were part of reality's journey towards self-awareness. As the gathered representatives began to disperse, returning to their worlds to share what they had learned, Ambassador Lyra approached Dr. Chen one final time. All this time, she said, we thought we were studying the universe. Dr. Chen's form shifted through multiple states of existence as she replied, only to discover that the universe was studying itself through us. And now, together, we get to help it dream up what comes next. Above them, the temple's infinite corridors spiraled into dimensions beyond normal space and time, a physical representation of the journey ahead. The next stage of evolution wasn't just about transcending physical limitations. It was about becoming part of the very fabric of existence itself. The age of separate civilizations was ending. The age of universal consciousness was about to begin, and every being who chose to evolve would help write the laws of reality itself. In the end, humanity's greatest gift to the galaxy wasn't technology or power. It was the understanding that they were all part of something greater, a universe learning to know itself, one consciousness at a time.